4 children, 2 men in black coats, 1 train platform in the middle of nowhere. Maggie Sullivan had been running for 3 weeks, hiding in barns, begging for rides, watching over her shoulder every single moment. Her husband was dead. His brother, a corrupt judge with powerful friends, wanted her boys, not because he loved them, because they were leverage, property, things to control. And now, trapped behind freight crates with nowhere to run, she watched those men show her photograph to the station master. Then a voice came from behind her. "Those men are asking about a woman with 4 children. That's you, ain't it?" A stranger. A cowboy with haunted eyes and blood on his hands. A man carrying secrets dark enough to destroy him. He should have walked away. He didn't. But here's what Maggie doesn't know. This man once hunted people for money. He brought an innocent man to the gallows. He watched a mother and child starve to death because of his choices. And now he's offering to save her family. The question isn't whether she can trust him. The question is, can a man who destroyed one family find redemption by saving another? This story carries a truth that will stay with you. Redemption isn't something you earn all at once. It's something you earn every day, one choice at a time, one act of courage at a time. And sometimes the people who've done the worst things are the ones fighting hardest to become better. If you've ever wondered whether it's too late to change, this story is your answer. If you believe in second chances and the power of choosing different, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. More stories like this are coming. Tell me in the comments, do you believe people can truly change? And if someone you know is carrying guilt, they think they can never escape. Share this story. It might be exactly what they need. Let's ride. The sunset bled red across the sky like a fresh wound. Maggie clutched 5-year-old Benny against her chest and pulled all 4 children behind a stack of freight crates on the train platform. Her hands shook. Her legs ached from weeks of running, 3 weeks of hiding in barns and begging for rides on supply wagons, 3 weeks of watching over her shoulder every single moment. And now, in this nowhere town called Silver Creek, it was about to end. 30 feet away, 2 men in black coats showed her photograph to the station master. "Mama," Clara whispered. Her voice cut sharp as a blade. "They found us." "Stay quiet," Maggie breathed. "Whatever happens, stay quiet." But Benny was trembling violently in her arms. Tears streamed down his little face. He did not make a sound. He had not made a sound in 8 months, not since the night his father died, but his small body convulsed with silent sobs that broke Maggie's heart. Sam, her 10-year-old boy, peered around the crates. His young face was hard with fury. Too much fury for a child his age. "We gotta move, Ma, right now. Out the back. There ain't no back." Maggie's eyes darted around the platform. Crates, passengers, a water tower. Nothing useful, nothing safe. "We are trapped. Then we fight. Samuel, you are 10 years old. I do not care. I ain't going with Uncle Horace. He is worse than Pa ever was. I seen how he looks at us. Like we are things instead of people." The men's voices carried across the platform. "Woman with 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. She is wanted in Ohio. What did she do? Stole her husband's children. The judge wants them back." Clara's grip tightened on Maggie's arm. "They are lying, Ma. They are lying." "I know, baby, I know." One of the men turned, looked directly at the freight crates. Maggie stopped breathing. Then a deep voice came from behind them. "Ma'am." Maggie spun around, shoving her children back. Her hand flew to the small knife in her pocket. Useless against grown men, but it was all she had. A cowboy stood there, tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair beneath a weathered hat. His face looked like it had been carved from hardship. Sharp jaw, hollow cheeks, eyes that had seen things no man should ever see. Those eyes took in everything. Her terror, the children, the men across the platform. He did not flinch, did not look surprised. "Stay away from us," Maggie hissed. "Those men are asking about a woman with 4 children. His voice was flat and emotionless. "That is you, ain't it?" I said. "Stay away, I heard you." He did not move, just stood there, studying her like he was working through some kind of calculation in his head. Maggie saw something flicker in his eyes, something that looked almost like pain when his gaze landed on Benny, still crying silently against her skirt. Then, nothing. His face went blank again. "I should walk away," he said quietly, more to himself than to her. Then walk. He did not walk. Inside the cowboy's head, a war was raging. Maggie could see it in his eyes, even though his face stayed still as stone. The men's footsteps were getting closer. 15 feet now, maybe less. The cowboy made his decision. Maggie saw it happen. Something shifted behind his eyes. "Come with me," he said. "Now. Do not argue. I do not even know your name. Caleb Mercer. And those men are 15 feet away, so you got about 5 seconds to decide." Maggie looked at the stranger, looked at her children, looked at the men who wanted to tear her family apart. "Why should I trust you? You should not." His eyes met hers, dark and unreadable and haunted. "But I am the only chance you got. Mama, please." Little Rosie whimpered, clutching Maggie's skirt. "I am scared. That decided it. Clara, take your brothers and sister. Go. I ain't leaving you, Ma. Go." Clara grabbed Benny. Sam grabbed Rosie. They squeezed through a gap between the crates and the station wall and disappeared into the shadows. Maggie started to follow, then stopped. "Why are you doing this?" Caleb was already walking toward the men, putting himself between them and her escape route. Over his shoulder, he said something that would stay with her for the rest of her life. "Ask me later. If there is a later." Maggie ran. The alley behind the station was narrow and dark. It reeked of garbage and horse manure. Clara was waiting at the corner with Benny on her hip, despite his weight. Her face was pale but determined. "Which way, Ma?" "Left, then straight. Do not stop." Behind them, Maggie heard voices raised in anger. Heard Caleb's calm drawl saying something about not seeing any woman with children. Heard a curse, a scuffle, the sound of fists hitting flesh. "Faster," she gasped. "Move faster." They ran until their lungs burned, until Rosie was crying and Sam was limping, and Clara's arms shook from carrying Benny. The white building appeared at the end of the street, blue door, just like the cowboy had said. Maggie did not knock. She grabbed the handle and shoved, practically throwing her children inside before slamming the door behind them. A woman looked up from the kitchen table. 60 years old, maybe more. Iron gray hair pulled back severely, spectacles perched on her nose, a cup of coffee frozen halfway to her lips. "Who in the name of Caleb Mercer sent us?" Maggie could barely get the words out through her heaving breath. "He said you would keep us safe." The woman set down her coffee. Her eyes moved from Maggie's terrified face to the 4 children huddled against her like baby birds seeking shelter from a storm. "Caleb sent you?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then you're in a heap of trouble." "Yes, ma'am." The woman moved to the window, peered out through a crack in the curtains. "2 men in black coats?" "Yes." "They the ones chasing you?" "Yes." "What do they want?" Maggie's voice cracked. "My boys. They want to take my boys." The woman let the curtain fall, turned to face them. Her expression hardened into something fierce and unshakable. "My name is Martha Hutchins. This is my house. And nobody takes children out of my house unless I say so." She pointed to a door at the back of the kitchen. "Through there, down the stairs, there is a root cellar. Get in it. Do not come out until I come get you. But do not argue with me, girl. Just move." Maggie moved. As she herded her children toward the cellar door, she looked back one last time at the window. Somewhere out there, a stranger was bleeding for her family. She did not even know why, but she intended to find out. The cellar was cold and dark. It smelled of potatoes and damp earth. Maggie gathered her children close, all 5 of them pressed together in the blackness, listening to footsteps above their heads. "Ma," Sam whispered, "what if they find us?" "They will not. But what if they do?" Maggie pulled him closer. Her voice dropped to something cold and certain. Then I will kill them myself before I let them touch you. She meant it. God help her, she meant every word. Rosie cried softly. Clara held her, stroking her hair, and Benny sat like stone, his eyes huge in the darkness. Who was that man? Clara asked quietly. The cowboy. I do not know. He helped us. Why? I do not know. Do you trust him? Maggie thought about the way he had looked at her. No pity, no judgment, just a question in his eyes. Do you need help? I do not know, she said again. But he did not have to do what he did. He could have walked away. He did not. That do not mean he is good, Ma. No, it do not. Above them, the front door slammed. Everyone went rigid. Martha's voice cut through the floorboards, sharp and indignant. I already told you. There ain't no woman with children here. This is a respectable establishment. A man's voice, rough and impatient. We got information she came this direction. Then your information is wrong. Mind if we look around? Yes, I mind. You got a warrant? We do not need a warrant. We are acting on behalf of... I do not care if you are acting on behalf of the president himself. You ain't searching my house without proper legal authority. Now get out before I get my shotgun. A long, terrible pause. Footsteps moving toward the back of the house, toward the cellar door. Maggie pulled her children closer, felt Clara's hand find hers in the dark, felt Sam tense beside her, ready to fight despite being just a child. The footsteps stopped directly overhead. There, a basement in this place? Root cellar. Full of rats. Big ones. You want to go down there? Be my guest. Another pause. Then the man's voice again. We will be back with a warrant. And when we come back, we are searching every inch. The front door slammed. Silence. Then Martha's voice calling down through the floorboards. You can come out now. They are gone. 3 o'clock in the morning. Maggie sat by the window of Martha's kitchen, a knife across her lap. The children were finally asleep in the spare room, but Maggie could not close her eyes. Every creak made her heart race. Every shadow made her reach for the blade. A soft knock at the back door. Martha appeared from her bedroom with a shotgun in her hands. She peered through the window, then relaxed. It is Caleb. She opened the door. He stepped inside, moving carefully. Maggie noticed immediately. A cut on his cheekbone still bleeding sluggishly, scraped knuckles, a bruise forming along his jaw. You look like hell, Martha said. Feel like it too. His eyes found Maggie across the room. You all right? We are alive, thanks to you. He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded paper. Found this on one of them. They had your trail, Mrs. Sullivan. Knew you would come to Silver Creek. Knew about Martha's place. Maggie took the paper with trembling hands. It was a detailed description of her and her children. And there, circled in red ink, was a map showing Martha's boarding house. They will be back, Caleb continued. And they are wiring for reinforcements. 6 more men, maybe by tomorrow night. How do you know? I listened. Before I convinced them to leave town. The way he said convinced made something shiver down Maggie's spine. What are you doing, Caleb? Martha's voice was sharp with worry. You swore you would never get involved in... I know what I swore. Then why? Caleb did not answer right away. His eyes drifted to the doorway of the spare room where the children slept. The little one, he said quietly. The boy who does not talk. He looked at me. So he looked at me like... He stopped, swallowed hard. Never mind. It does not matter why. Maggie stood. It matters to me. You put yourself in danger for strangers. I want to know why. And I ain't ready to tell you. His voice was flat, but not unkind. What I will tell you is this. You cannot stay here. They know about this place. Tomorrow they will come back with more men and legal papers. Then where am I supposed to go? Caleb met her eyes. I got a ranch, 2 hours from here, middle of nowhere. Nobody would think to look there. Absolutely not. Mrs. Sullivan, I do not even know you. You could be anyone. I could be, but I ain't. He met her eyes directly. You know those men are coming back. You know you ain't got options. I am offering you a place to hide. Some time to think. Nothing more. And I am supposed to just trust you? No. You are supposed to keep your children alive long enough to figure out your next move. That is all I am offering. Martha spoke up quietly. He is telling the truth, Margaret. Caleb has got his demons. Lord knows he does. But he has never hurt a woman or child in his life. And he will not start now. You are certain? I have known him 15 years. I am certain. Maggie looked between them. The old woman with her steady eyes, the cowboy with his battered face and unreadable expression. What demons? Maggie asked. Caleb's jaw tightened. That is my business. If I am bringing my children to your home, it becomes my business. Silence stretched between them. Martha sighed. He has got a past, Margaret. He has done things, some good, some not. But the man standing in front of you now ain't the man he used to be. That is not an answer. It is all you are getting tonight. Caleb's voice was firm but not harsh. You can decide whether it is enough. A small figure appeared in the doorway. Clara, eyes hard with suspicion. Ma, I heard everything. Clara, go back to bed. No. She walked forward and planted herself between Maggie and Caleb. If we are going with this man, I got conditions. Caleb raised an eyebrow. You are a little young to be making conditions. I ain't too young to protect my family. Clara's chin jutted out. First condition, we sleep in the house. You sleep in the barn. Second condition, you do not touch my mama or any of us. Third condition, soon as we figure out another plan, we leave. You do not try to stop us. Clara May Sullivan, Maggie said sharply. That is enough. No, it ain't. Clara's voice cracked but held. You trusted Pa, too. Look where that got us. The words landed like a slap. Caleb studied Clara for a long moment. Something passed between them. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. Fair enough, he said finally. I will sleep in the barn. I will not touch none of you. And when you are ready to leave, I will help you go. You got my word. Your word does not mean nothing to me. I know. But it is all I got to give. 20 minutes later, they loaded into a wagon behind the boarding house. The children piled into the back, wrapped in borrowed blankets. Clara refused Caleb's hand, climbing up on her own. Sam did the same. Only Rosie accepted his help, too exhausted to protest. And Benny. Benny looked at Caleb with those hollow eyes for a long moment. Then he reached up to be lifted. Caleb froze, just for a second. Then he lifted the boy gently and set him in the wagon bed. Maggie watched this, stored it away. As she climbed up to sit in the back with her children, she leaned close to Caleb. If you hurt my children, I will kill you. I do not care how big you are or what you have done. I will kill you, and I will not lose a moment of sleep. Caleb met her eyes without flinching. Mrs. Sullivan, if I hurt your children, I would expect nothing less. The wagon rolled out of Silver Creek as the stars began to fade. Behind them, danger waited. Ahead, uncertainty loomed. But for the first time in 3 weeks, Maggie felt something other than pure terror. She felt a tiny spark of hope, and she hated herself for it. Because hope was dangerous. Hope got you hurt. But as she watched Caleb's broad shoulders silhouetted against the dawn, she could not help wondering, who was this man? What demons haunted him? And why did he look at her children like they were his last chance at redemption? The wagon crested a hill as the sun broke the horizon, painting the Colorado sky in shades of gold and rose. Below lay Caleb's ranch, a simple wooden house with a porch, a sturdy barn, a corral with a few horses, a windmill creaking in the morning breeze. Small, isolated. The nearest neighbor was miles away, and beneath a massive cottonwood tree near the house stood two small graves marked by simple wooden crosses. Maggie saw them immediately. Her breath caught. "Your wife?" she asked quietly. Caleb's hands tightened on the reins. "Yeah. And a child?" "Daughter." She never took a breath. His voice was flat and controlled. "They are buried together." The children stared at the graves with wide eyes. Rosie whispered, "That is sad." "Yeah, little one, it is." The inside of the house told a story Caleb would never speak aloud. Faded curtains that were once cheerful, a sampler on the wall stitched with the words, "Home Sweet Home," a rocking chair by the fireplace positioned to look out the window. The seat worn smooth but untouched for years, everything covered in a thin layer of dust. Caleb clearly had not been living inside the house. The barn, probably. And in the corner of the main room stood a door, padlocked shut. Clara noticed it immediately. "What is in there?" "Nothing that concerns you." Caleb's voice was sharp, sharper than he had been before. Clara filed this away. "You can have the bedroom," Caleb continued, his tone softening. "I will bring in fresh water and firewood. There is food in the pantry. Ain't much, but it will keep you fed. Where will you sleep?" "Barn, like your daughter said." While Maggie and Clara unpacked their meager belongings, the other children scattered to explore. Sam found an axe near the woodpile, picked it up, tested its weight. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Rosie discovered the chicken coop and immediately named every bird. "That is Princess, and that is Butterscotch, and that is Mr. Fancy Feathers." Benny walked straight to the corral. He stopped in front of a stall where an old white mare stood alone. She watched him with liquid brown eyes. The horse's coat was faded, her movements slow. She was ancient. A sign on the stall read, "Ghost, Sarah's horse." Benny stood perfectly still. The horse lowered her head, stretched toward him. And then contact. Ghost's muzzle touched Benny's hair, soft as a whisper. The boy made a sound, not a word, just a soft hum. But it was the first sound he had made in 8 months. Maggie had followed Benny. She stood frozen at the barn door, hand pressed to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Caleb appeared beside her. "That horse belonged to my wife," he said quietly. "She ain't let anyone near her since Sarah died. Just stands in that stall, waiting." "Waiting for what?" "I used to think she was waiting to die." Caleb watched Benny stroke Ghost's nose. Maybe she was waiting for something else. Late that night, the house grew quiet. Clara slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Rosie. She needed air, needed to think. She stepped onto the porch and froze. Caleb was sitting beneath the cottonwood tree, talking to the graves. His voice carried on the night wind, just barely audible. "I do not know what I'm doing, Sarah. These people are in trouble, and I keep seeing her when I look at that boy, our little girl, the one we never got to hold." A long pause. "I know you never forgave me for what I did, for Elijah. I do not forgive myself either, but maybe if I can help them." He broke off, buried his face in his hands. Clara retreated silently back inside. She did not know who Elijah was, but she intended to find out. Later, much later. Clara sat behind the barn alone. She thought everyone was asleep. She pulled her knees to her chest, and she shook, silent, violent trembling, tears she would not let anyone see. She had been strong for so long. The rock, the protector, the one who held the knife and made the threats and never, ever showed weakness. But she was 12 years old. She was terrified, and she had no idea what she was doing. A small voice came from the darkness. "Clara?" She whipped around, frantically wiping her face. Rosie stood there in her nightgown, barefoot, eyes wide with worry. "Go back to bed, Rosie. Are you crying?" "No, I am just—" Clara's voice broke. "I miss home." Rosie padded over and sat beside her sister. wrapped her small arms around Clara's waist. "This is our new home now," Rosie said simply. "And it has got horses and chickens and the tall man who looks sad. It will be okay." Clara held her little sister tight and let herself cry. Just this once. 2 weeks passed. The ranch came alive in ways it had not for years. Maggie cooked and cleaned, bringing warmth back to rooms that had been cold for too long. The smell of fresh bread drifted through windows left open to the breeze. Sam reluctantly helped Caleb with chores. He still bristled at authority, still tested every boundary. But something was shifting in him, something that looked almost like respect. Rosie claimed the chicken coop as her kingdom. She gave daily reports on egg production with solemn ceremony, and Benny spent every possible moment with Ghost. He did not speak words, but he made sounds now. Small hums, soft murmurs to the old mare. It was progress, fragile and precious. But Clara watched. She watched Caleb's face when he thought no one was looking, the way guilt carved lines around his eyes. She watched him avoid the locked room like it contained his own death. She watched him wake at night and walk to those graves, every night, every single night. And she remembered the name she had heard him whisper, Elijah. Whoever Elijah was, he haunted Caleb Mercer like a ghost, and Clara was determined to find out why, because her family's safety depended on knowing the truth, no matter how dark that truth might be. Thursday night, past midnight. Clara woke to sounds from the barn. Not the normal sounds, not horses shifting or wind creaking through boards. These were human sounds, moaning, thrashing, a voice crying out. She slipped out of bed and crossed the yard, moving silent as a ghost. The barn door was open a crack. Caleb lay on a pile of hay, tangled in a blanket, deep in the grip of a nightmare. His face was twisted in anguish, and he was talking. Elijah. I did not know. Please. The baby. I did not know about the baby. Clara pressed closer, heart pounding. Sarah, forgive me. I killed them. I killed them both. She was just a child. Like Rosie. Like... He jackknifed awake with a gasp, reaching for a gun that was not there. Clara stumbled backward, knocking into a bucket. The noise was sharp in the silence. Caleb's head snapped toward her. For one terrifying moment, she saw something in his eyes that was not Caleb at all. Something wild and dangerous and broken. Then it was gone. What are you doing here? His voice was rough, scraped raw. I heard you. I heard you talking in your sleep. Silence. Go back to bed, Clara. Who is Elijah? Caleb went very still. Who is Elijah? Clara's voice rose, forgetting to be quiet. Who did you kill? What baby? You said a baby. I said go back to bed. Number Clara planted her feet. I heard you before, too. Talking to those graves. Something about what you did, something your wife could not forgive. Her voice shook, but held. If my mama is in danger, if my brothers and sister are in danger, I deserve to know. Caleb sat up slowly. His face in the moonlight was the face of a man who had carried something unbearable for too long. You want to know? Fine. His voice was dead. Come back in the morning. I will tell you everything. I will tell your mama, too. Tell us now, in the morning. I ain't strong enough for this conversation tonight. Morning came too soon. They gathered at the kitchen table, Maggie, Clara, and Caleb. The younger children were outside. Sam chopping wood, Rosie collecting eggs, Benny with Ghost. Clara had told Maggie what she heard. Maggie's face was pale but composed. Start from the beginning, Maggie said. Caleb took a breath. Before the ranch, before Sarah. I was a bounty hunter. Best in 3 territories, they said. He stared at his hands, scarred, calloused, capable of violence. I told myself it was justice, bringing criminals to answer for their crimes. But mostly it was money. I did not ask questions. Did not want to know if the men I caught were guilty or innocent. I just saw the bounty and I collected it. 7 years ago, I caught a man named Elijah Crane. $200, dead or alive. He was a runaway. Fled Ohio after assaulting a white man. His jaw tightened. What I did not know, what I did not bother to find out, was that the assault was Elijah defending a slave from being beaten to death. The man he hit was a plantation overseer. The justice system that wanted him back was going to make an example of him. I brought him in anyway. They hanged him within a week. Clara's hands clenched into fists under the table. After Elijah died, his wife and daughter had no one. No one to work their small piece of land. No one to hunt or trade or protect them. Caleb's voice fractured. I found out about them 3 months later. I went to their cabin to, I do not know, apologize, offer help, money. He stopped, swallowed hard. They were already dead, starved, froze. The little girl was maybe 5 or 6 years old. She died in her mother's arms. Silence hung heavy in the room. I buried them. There was no one else to do it. Maggie spoke first. Her voice was carefully neutral. And your wife knew. Sarah found out a year into our marriage. Letters I had kept. From a preacher who tried to help the Cranes. He wrote to tell me what happened. To make sure I knew exactly what my justice had cost. Sarah could not forgive me. She tried. Lord knows she tried. But every time she looked at me, she saw them. When she got pregnant, I thought maybe it was a second chance. A new start, but she was so small and the baby came too early and there was not a doctor for 50 miles. His voice broke completely. She died hating me, and I deserved it. Clara stood abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor. You killed them. A whole family, just like you could kill us. Clara, Maggie started. No, May. Clara's voice was ragged with fury and fear. He is a murderer. He hunted people like animals. How do we know he is not just waiting for the right moment? How do we know Blackwood did not send him? Blackwood did not send me, Caleb said quietly. Prove it. I cannot. All I can do is tell you the truth and let you decide what to do with it. Clara was shaking now, with anger, with terror, with the weight of carrying too much for too long. We have to leave. We have to leave right now. Ma, please. Clara. Maggie's voice was calm but firm. Sit down. But sit down. Clara sat. Her face was a mask of betrayal. Maggie looked at Caleb for a long moment. He met her gaze without flinching, without hope. My husband, Maggie said slowly, beat me every day for 8 years. He broke my ribs. He cracked my skull. He held my head under water until I stopped struggling. And he never once, not once, admitted he had done anything wrong. She leaned forward. You did something terrible, Mr. Mercer. You cannot undo it. You cannot bring those people back. I know. But you have carried it. You have let it destroy you. You have spent 7 years punishing yourself in ways no court ever could. She paused. I do not forgive you. I cannot. It is not my forgiveness to give. Only the Cranes could give you that. And they are gone. Caleb nodded. His face was gray. But I can give you a chance to prove you have changed, that you are not the man who brought Elijah Crane to hang. And if I fail, Maggie's eyes were ice, then God help you, because I will not. Clara pushed back from the table. I do not accept this. I do not accept him. You do not have to accept him, Clara. You just have to give me time. How much time? Until he hurts us too? Until... Enough. Maggie's voice cracked like a whip. I have made my decision. This family stays together and we stay here until we have a better option. That is final. Clara stared at her mother with something that looked heartbreakingly like betrayal. Then she turned and walked out. The door slammed behind her, and Maggie was left wondering if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life, or the only choice that could save them. 2 days passed in tense silence. Clara barely spoke. She did her chores, watched over the younger children, and avoided Caleb like he was carrying plague. Then Martha rode in, her horse lathered with sweat, her face white as bone. "Blackwood is here," she said before she had fully dismounted. "Came in on the morning train, got 10 men with him, maybe more." Maggie's blood turned to ice. "He came himself. Brought half of Ohio with him, looks like. And Margaret—" Martha hesitated. "He has got the local sheriff in his pocket, flashing money around, making promises. The whole town is afraid of him. How long before he finds us? Someone will talk. Someone always does. 2 days, maybe 3. That night, after the children were asleep, Maggie sat on the porch. Caleb joined her, keeping distance between them. "We could run," he said. "California, Oregon. Somewhere he would never find you. He would find us." Maggie's voice was hollow. "He found us here. He will find us anywhere. He will never stop." "Then what do you want to do?" Maggie was quiet for a long moment. "I have something he wants, something besides the children." "What?" She reached into her dress and pulled out a folded, worn paper. "A letter. This is from my husband, written the day he died. It proves Blackwood killed him, murdered his own brother to cover up land fraud worth thousands." Caleb stared at the letter. "You have had this the whole time?" "It is the only reason I am still alive. If I had used it in Ohio, Blackwood's judge friends would have made it disappear, and me with it. But here in Colorado territory—" "Different jurisdiction," Caleb said slowly. "Different judges, different lawmen. If I can get this to someone honest, a federal marshal, a territorial judge, Blackwood would be finished." "That is a big if, Mrs. Sullivan." "I know." She looked at him, and for the first time he saw something other than fear in her eyes. He saw steel. "But I am done running. I am done hiding. I am done letting that man control my life." Something changed between them in that moment. Not romance, not yet. Something deeper, more fundamental. Two people who had lost everything, who had been broken by the world, who were choosing to stand back up. "I will help you," Caleb said. "Whatever you need, whatever it costs. It could cost your life. My life ain't been worth much these past 7 years." He met her eyes. "Might as well use it for something that matters." The next morning, Caleb was teaching Sam to handle a rifle. Just basics, just safety. Sam was reckless, impatient. He kept pointing the barrel in unsafe directions, kept fingering the trigger before he was ready. "I said, 'Finger off the trigger,'" Caleb barked. "I know what I am doing. You do not know anything." Caleb's voice rose without warning. Sharp and sudden. "You point a gun wrong. You kill someone. You kill someone you love. Is that what you want?" Sam flinched backward, and suddenly the whole ranch went silent. Rosie stared from the doorway. Benny had frozen beside Ghost. Clara watched with hard, knowing eyes. And Maggie stood on the porch, her face unreadable. Caleb realized what he had done. He had shouted at a child, a traumatized child who had been shouted at by men his whole life. He stepped back like he had been burned. "I am Sam. I did not—" He turned and walked away, fast, heading for the barn. Maggie found him behind the barn, his fist bloody from punching the wall. "Talk to me," she said. "Nothing to say. You are bleeding. It is nothing." "Caleb." He finally looked at her, and she saw it now, the thing he had been hiding beneath the calm exterior. Rage. Deep burning, barely contained rage. "I thought I had it under control," he said, his voice cracking. 7 years. 7 years of being careful, gentle, making sure I never raised my voice, never lost my temper, never became— Became what? My father. The word came out like poison. He was the same. Quiet most days. Controlled. And then something would snap and he would become a monster. Maggie was very still. He killed my mother when I was 12, beat her to death over a burned supper, and I stood there and watched because I was too scared to move. Caleb, I am not safe, Maggie. I try to be. I work at it every day. But what if one day I cannot hold it back? What if I become him? Maggie stepped closer. You are not him. How do you know? Because you stopped. Her voice was quiet but firm. You shouted at Sam, and you caught yourself and you walked away. My husband never walked away. He walked toward. She reached out slowly and took his bleeding hand in hers. You are not safe. Nobody is. But you are fighting. Every day you are fighting to be better. That is the difference. He stared at their joined hands. Why do you keep believing in me? Because someone has to, and because... She hesitated. Because I need to believe people can change. That the darkness does not have to win. Maggie woke to the sound of horses. Lots of horses. She was on her feet before her eyes were fully open, heart slamming against her ribs, hands reaching for the children. Clara! Clara, wake up! Ma? What? Get the children! Get them to the root cellar! Now! But it was too late. 10 riders crested the hill, dark shapes against the rising sun. At their head, mounted on a fine black stallion, sat Judge Horace Blackwood. Silver hair gleaming, cold eyes scanning the property, an expression of absolute unshakable confidence. Beside him rode Ezra Pike. A scar ran down his face like a lightning strike. His smile did not reach his dead eyes. Behind them came 8 armed men, plus the local sheriff, who looked uncomfortable but compliant. Caleb stepped onto the porch with his rifle in hand. That is far enough. Blackwood's horse stopped 20 feet from the house. His men fanned out in a semicircle, cutting off all escape routes. Mr. Mercer, I presume. Blackwood's voice was cultured and pleasant and utterly devoid of warmth. I have heard interesting things about you, former bounty hunter. Best in 3 territories, they say. I do not do that anymore. Pity. I could use a man of your talents. Maggie stepped out onto the porch, pushing past Caleb. She would not hide behind anyone, not anymore. Margaret. Blackwood's smile was the smile of a snake. You have led me on quite a chase. I have nothing to say to you. Oh, I think you do. His eyes flickered to the house behind her. Where are my nephews? They are not yours. The courts disagree. He produced a paper from his coat. I have a warrant here signed by a proper judge authorizing me to take custody of Samuel and Benjamin Sullivan. Caleb spoke. That warrant is from Ohio. Ain't worth the paper it is printed on in Colorado territory. The sheriff seems to disagree. Blackwood nodded to the uncomfortable lawman. Sheriff Williams has agreed to honor it. Have you not, Sheriff? The sheriff could not meet anyone's eyes. The law is the law. Before you take anyone, Maggie said, her voice steady despite her shaking hands, there is something you should know. Blackwood's eyes narrowed. And what is that? I know you killed Thomas. The world went very still. Even Pike's dead eyes flickered with something. Surprise, maybe? Or wariness? That is a serious accusation, Blackwood said softly. I have proof. Maggie's chin rose. A letter, in Thomas's own hand, describing everything, the land fraud, your threats, your plan to silence him. You are lying. Am I? Do you want to take that chance? Because if anything happens to me or my children, that letter goes to every federal marshal, every territorial judge, and every newspaper between here and Washington. Silence. Blackwood's mask slipped just for a moment. Beneath it was fury. Cold, calculating fury. Where is this letter? Somewhere you will never find it. Long moments passed. Maggie could feel her children behind her in the house. Feel their fear radiating through the walls. Then Blackwood smiled. It was the worst thing she had ever seen. You are very clever, Margaret. I always underestimated you. He dismounted, handed his reins to Pike, walked toward the porch with measured steps. But I did not become a judge by being stupid. He stopped at the base of the porch stairs. I do not need all your children. I just need leverage. Before anyone could move, he nodded to Pike. It happened so fast. Pike was off his horse and through the door before Caleb could raise his rifle. A crash inside. A child's scream. Clara's voice shouting, "Get away from him!" Pike dragged Sam out by the collar with a gun pressed to the boy's temple. "Mama!" Maggie lunged forward. 3 guns swung toward her. Caleb grabbed her arm and pulled her back. His face was white with rage, but he knew. "One wrong move and Sam dies. Let him go," Maggie whispered. "Please, he is just a child." "Exactly." Blackwood's voice was silk over steel. "Which is why you are going to be reasonable." "Here is what is going to happen," Blackwood continued. "I am taking Samuel with me as insurance. You have 2 days to produce that letter in all copies. After that, I take the other boy as well." "And my girls?" Blackwood's lip curled. "I have no use for girls. They can stay with you for all I care." Sam had stopped struggling. His face was pale and his eyes were huge, but something in him had hardened. "Do not give him nothing, Ma. Sam, he's gonna hurt us anyway. You know it. Do not give him nothing." Pike cuffed him across the head. Sam staggered but did not cry out. "Brave boy," Blackwood observed, "just like his father." He mounted his horse. 2 days, Margaret. Use them wisely." They rode away with Sam. Maggie stood frozen on the porch, watching until they disappeared over the hill, until the dust settled, until there was nothing left but silence and horror. Then Clara's voice broken. Clara's voice. "Ma! Ma? What do we do?" Maggie did not answer. She could not. That night, after the younger children finally cried themselves to sleep, Maggie stood alone in the bedroom staring at her reflection in the mirror. She looked old, beaten, broken. I did everything right, she thought. I ran, I hid, I protected, I fought. Why was it not enough? Her hands curled into fists. Why is it never enough? She hit the mirror. Glass shattered. Blood flowed. She did not feel it. She hit again and again and again, punching the wall, the furniture, anything she could reach. No screaming, no crying, just silent, terrible violence against everything within reach. The door flew open. Caleb. He took in the scene, the broken glass, the blood, the wild-eyed woman destroying everything around her. He did not try to stop her, did not grab her arms or shout. He just stood there and waited. Finally, Maggie spun toward him, fists raised, face twisted with rage. "I did everything right. Everything. Why was it not enough?" Caleb said nothing. "Answer me." Still nothing. And the rage drained away, leaving only emptiness. Maggie crumpled. Caleb caught her before she hit the floor. "It is not your fault," he said quietly, holding her while she shook. "It was never your fault. He has my son. I know. He's going to hurt him. I know. What do I do? Caleb, what do I do?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "We get him back." "How?" "I do not know yet, but we will. I promise you." It was a promise he had no right to make, but he made it anyway. Morning, they gathered around the kitchen table. Maggie, Caleb, Clara, and Martha, who had ridden out at first light to help. Rosie and Benny were in the barn with Ghost, the only place Benny felt safe enough to breathe. "Here is what we know," Caleb began. "Blackwood is staying at the Golden Eagle Hotel in Silver Creek. It is the only place in town fit for a man of his status." "How many men?" Martha asked. "At least 8, maybe 10. Plus Pike. What about the sheriff? He is bought, will not help us. The territorial marshal? 3 days' ride from here. By the time he gets involved, it will be too late." Silence fell. Clara spoke, her voice flat. "So what is the plan? Walk up and ask nicely?" "No." Caleb leaned forward. "We go in tonight. Hit them before they expect it. That is suicide. Maybe. But they are expecting us to run or negotiate. They are not expecting a fight. Caleb laid out the plan. Step 1. Martha creates a disturbance at the saloon across from the hotel. Something loud and chaotic, enough to draw Pike and some of the men out to investigate. I can do that, Martha said grimly. Step 2. The hotel has got a back entrance through the kitchen. Servants use it. Security is light because Blackwood does not think anyone will be stupid enough to come for him. Who goes in? Maggie demanded. Me. And Caleb hesitated, looking at Clara. I need someone small. Someone who can fit through the service passages. Clara's eyes widened. You want me to? Only if you are willing. I will not force you. No. Maggie's voice was iron. Absolutely not. I am not sending another child into danger. I said no, Clara. Then who? Clara stood with her hands flat on the table. You cannot fit through those passages. Martha is too old. No offense. None taken, Martha muttered. I am the only one who can do this. I will not allow it. This is not about what you allow. Clara's voice cracked. It is about Sam. It is about getting our family back. Mother and daughter stared at each other. I know you do not trust him, Clara continued, jerking her head toward Caleb. I do not either. Not completely. But right now he is the only chance we have. She took a breath. I am going. You cannot stop me. But I would rather go with your blessing. Long silence. Then Maggie reached out and took Clara's face in her hands. If anything happens to you, nothing is going to happen. I am too mean to die. Despite everything, Maggie almost laughed. Yeah, she whispered. Yeah, you are. The rest of the day was spent in preparation. Caleb checked his weapons, cleaned them, checked them again. Clara practiced moving silently, through windows, around corners, up and down stairs. Martha rehearsed her disturbance. A spectacular fight with an imaginary ex-lover, complete with thrown bottles and screaming accusations. And Maggie found Clara sitting alone behind the barn, loading a small pistol. Where did you get that? Martha gave it to me. Clara did not look up. Said I might need it. Clara, I know what you are going to say, Ma, and I do not want to hear it. Maggie sat down beside her daughter. I was going to say do not miss. Clara looked up, startled. If someone tries to hurt you, whether it is Pike or Blackwood or anyone, you shoot first. You do not hesitate. You do not warn them. You shoot and then you run. Understand? Promise me. Clara swallowed hard. I promise. That night, Caleb found Maggie on the porch, staring at the stars. You should sleep, he said. Cannot. Neither can I. They stood in silence for a moment. If this goes wrong, Maggie started. It will not. If it does. If something happens to Clara, or to you, or to Sam. She turned to face him. Take the others, Rosie and Benny. Get them somewhere safe. Somewhere Blackwood can never find them. Maggie, promise me. I promise. More silence, then quietly. Thank you for everything. Do not thank me yet. We have not won anything. No, but you gave us a chance. That is more than anyone else has done. She reached out and took his hand, just held it. And for a moment in the darkness, neither of them felt alone. Silver Creek, 11 at night. The town slept. Gas lamps flickered on the main street. The Golden Eagle Hotel rose at the far end, its windows glowing with warm light. Blackwood's men patrolled the perimeter, lazy, confident, expecting no trouble. In the shadows of the general store, 3 figures waited. Caleb, Clara, Martha. And a quarter-mile outside town, holding 3 horses, Maggie waited, ready to run at the first sign of trouble. Remember, Caleb whispered. Martha draws them out. Clara goes through the kitchen. I go in through the roof. We meet at Sam's room, second floor, third door on the left. How do you know that is his room? I asked around. Bellboy owed me a favor. What if it is wrong? Then we improvise. Clara took a breath, checked the pistol at her hip. I am ready. Martha staggered into the saloon like a woman possessed. Jacob McAllister. She screamed at the nearest cowboy who had no idea who Jacob McAllister was. You think you can leave me for that saloon girl? She grabbed a bottle from the bar and hurled it across the room. Chaos erupted. Pike, who had been playing cards in the corner, looked up sharply. Two of Blackwood's men rose from their seats. Crazy old woman, Pike muttered. But he walked toward the door anyway, drawn by the spectacle. 30 seconds. That was all Caleb needed. Clara slipped through the kitchen door like a ghost. The staff was gone for the night. Only embers glowed in the massive stove. She moved through the shadows, heart pounding, every sense on high alert. The service stairway was narrow and steep, barely wide enough for her slim frame. She climbed. Second floor, a door at the top. She pressed her ear against it. Footsteps passing by, then silence. She opened it a crack. A long hallway, gas lamps casting pools of light. A guard at the far end with his back turned, looking out a window. Third door on the left. She moved. Caleb dropped through a skylight onto the third floor. He landed soft and controlled. Years of training do not disappear just because you have hung up your guns. 2 guards on this floor, one asleep in a chair, one walking the perimeter. The sleeping one was easy. A rag soaked in chloroform pressed over the mouth. He slumped deeper into his chair without waking. The walking one required more finesse. Caleb waited in an alcove, timed the footsteps. As the guard passed, a forearm around the throat, pressure on the carotid. The guard struggled, then went limp. Caleb lowered him gently, checked for a pulse, still alive. Good. He did not want to kill anyone tonight. Not if he could help it. Clara reached the third door at the same moment Caleb descended the stairs. Their eyes met. Caleb nodded. Clara tried the handle. Locked. Caleb produced a lockpick, another skill from his bounty hunting days. 10 seconds, and the mechanism clicked open. They slipped inside. Sam was tied to a chair, gagged, bruises on his face. Someone had been hitting him. But his eyes, when he saw them, blazed with hope. Clara rushed forward, cutting his bonds with her knife. Shh, do not make a sound. We are getting you out. How? Sam started. Later. Move. They were halfway to the door when it slammed open. Pike stood in the doorway, gun already drawn, dead eyes gleaming in the lamplight. Well, well, he said softly. The bounty hunter and the little girl. I was hoping you would be stupid enough to try this. Caleb pushed Clara and Sam behind him. Let the children go, Pike. This is between you and me. No, I do not think so. Pike's smile was a razor. See, Mr. Blackwood promised me a bonus for every Sullivan brat I delivered, and I intend to collect. I will double whatever he is paying. It ain't about money anymore. Pike raised his gun. It is about reputation. Cannot have people thinking Ezra Pike let a couple of kids outsmart him. Pike fired. Caleb shoved the children aside, taking the bullet in his shoulder. The impact spun him, but he did not fall, did not let himself fall. He charged. They collided in a tangle of fists and gunmetal. Pike was fast, ex-Confederate cavalry fast, but Caleb was desperate, fueled by 7 years of self-hatred and a burning need to protect these children. They crashed against the wall, against the floor. Pike's gun went skittering away. You are slower than you used to be, Mercer, Pike hissed, landing a punch to Caleb's wounded shoulder. And you talk too much. Caleb headbutted him, felt Pike's nose crunch. Blood everywhere. Pike staggered back, drew a knife from his boot. They circled. Clara crouched in the corner, pistol in hand, watching the fight. She could shoot, should shoot. But Pike kept moving, kept spinning, and Caleb was in the way, and then Pike got the upper hand. A slash of the knife. Caleb's arm opened, spilling blood. He stumbled. Pike kicked him to the ground, raised the knife for the killing blow. End of the line, bounty hunter. Clara's hands stopped shaking. She thought of her mother's words. Do not hesitate. Do not warn them. She thought of Sam, beaten and bound. She thought of every night she lay awake listening to her father hit her mother, wishing she was big enough to stop it. I am big enough now. She closed her eyes. She fired. The bullet caught Pike in the chest, not a killing shot. Clara's aim had pulled at the last second, but enough. He dropped. Caleb scrambled back, grabbing Pike's fallen gun, keeping it trained on the wounded man. Clara! Sam's voice was shaking. You shot him. Clara looked down at her hands. The pistol felt impossibly heavy. I had to, she whispered. He was going to kill. The hotel erupted in chaos. Shouts from the hallway. Running footsteps. Move! Caleb barked. Out the window! Fire escape! Now! They scrambled down the fire escape. Caleb bleeding. Sam stumbling. Clara in shock. At the bottom, they collided with two more guards. Caleb fired twice. Both men dropped. Wounded, not dead. Run! They ran. Down the alley, through the shadows, out the back of town where Maggie waited with the horses. She saw them coming, saw the blood, saw Sam, Mama, baby, oh God, baby. She was off her horse, gathering Sam in her arms, sobbing and laughing at the same time. We need to go, Caleb gasped. Now! They will be after us. What about Blackwood? He was not in the hotel, must have stepped out. But he will know we... A voice cut through the night. Margaret. Blackwood stood at the edge of town, 20 feet away, gun in hand, pointed at them. Behind him 5 more men sat mounted and ready. Did you really think it would be that easy? His voice was cold and controlled. Did you really think you could waltz into my hotel and steal my property and ride away? Those children are not your property. Maggie stepped forward, putting herself between Blackwood and her family. The courts say otherwise, the courts you bought. Details. Blackwood raised his gun. Now. You are going to give me what I want. The letter, the children, all of it. And if I refuse, then I shoot you in front of your children. Then I shoot Mr. Mercer. Then I take the children anyway. He cocked the hammer. Your choice, Margaret. Clara still had the pistol. It was at her side, hidden in the folds of her skirt. She looked at Blackwood, at the man who murdered her father, who beat her brother, who hunted her family across 3 states. She looked at her mother standing between her children and death. She looked at Caleb, bleeding, swaying on his feet, but still standing, still fighting. And she remembered. Her father with his hand raised, her mother on the floor, blood. Please, Thomas, do not. Never again. Clara raised the pistol. Blackwood saw it. His face twisted with contempt. Put that down, little girl. Before you hurt yourself, I am not a little girl. Her hands shook, her vision blurred with tears. But she did not lower the gun. I have watched men hurt my family my whole life. My father, your hired thugs, you. I have watched and watched and watched because I was too small to stop it. Clara, Maggie's voice was desperate. Baby, put the gun down. I am not small anymore. She saw Blackwood's finger tighten on the trigger. She closed her eyes. Mama, I am sorry. She fired. The shot echoed across the empty street. Blackwood staggered, looked down at his chest, blood blooming through his fine white shirt. His gun dropped from nerveless fingers. You! He gasped. You stupid little... He fell and did not get up. Clara stood frozen, gun still raised, staring at the body. Behind Blackwood, his men sat on their horses, uncertain. Their leader was dead. Their paycheck was gone. Anyone else? Caleb's voice was hard and dangerous. He had raised his gun despite his wounds. Anyone else want to die for a dead man's money? One by one, they turned their horses and rode away. The gun fell from Clara's hands. She looked down at them, shaking, trembling, foreign. I killed him, she whispered. I killed... Maggie caught her before she fell. Shh, baby, it is over. You saved us. You saved all of us. But I... Clara buried her face against her mother's chest and sobbed. Not the silent, controlled tears of a girl pretending to be strong. The helpless, shattered weeping of a 12-year-old child who had just taken a human life. 2 weeks passed. The ranch was quiet. Caleb's arm was healing slowly. The bullet had passed clean through his shoulder, missing anything vital. Martha called it a miracle. Caleb called it luck he did not deserve. The bruises on Sam's face had faded. He was back to chopping wood, back to testing boundaries, back to pretending nothing happened. But something had changed in him, something softer, something that looked at Caleb differently now. Rosie had recovered fastest. Children are resilient that way. She was already weaving the whole adventure into an elaborate story for her chickens. Benny spoke now. Not much, a few words a day. But it was progress. He still spent most of his time with Ghost. And Clara did not speak at all. She did her chores, ate when told, slept when exhausted. But the light had gone out of her eyes. Maggie watched her daughter move through the days like a ghost and felt her heart breaking over and over. "Give her time," Caleb said. "She is processing something no child should have to process." "How much time? How long before she is my Clara again?" "I do not know. Maybe never. But that do not mean she will not be okay." A week after the rescue, Caleb found Clara sitting by the corral fence staring at nothing. He sat down beside her, did not speak, just existed in the same space. 10 minutes passed. Then, "Do you see him?" Clara's voice was barely a whisper. "When you close your eyes, Elijah, the family, the people you killed." Caleb was quiet for a long moment. "Every night, for 7 years. Does it ever stop?" "I do not know. I will let you know if it does." Clara finally looked at him. Her eyes were red and hollow and haunted. "How do you live with it? Some days I do not. Honesty, brutal and raw. Some days I just exist. But other days—" He looked toward the house where Maggie was hanging laundry, where Sam was chasing Rosie around the well, where Benny was whispering to Ghost. "Other days I see something worth existing for. I do not know if I can. That is okay. You do not have to know right now. You just have to get through today. And tomorrow? Tomorrow you get through tomorrow, 1 day at a time, 1 hour, 1 minute, however long it takes." Clara was quiet. Then, so soft he almost did not hear, "I am not sorry I did it. Blackwood, I mean. He was going to kill Mama, kill you. He would have taken Sam and Benny and—" "I know, but I am scared of what it means, that I could do that, that I had it in me." "Clara." Caleb turned to face her fully. "Listen to me. What you did was not murder. It was protection. You did not hunt down an innocent man for money like I did. You saved your family from a killer. It still feels the same. Maybe it always will. But there is a difference between feeling guilty and being guilty. You feel guilty because you have a conscience. That is what separates you from men like Blackwood." He paused. "And men like I used to be. You are not like him. I used to be. Closer than I want to admit. But you changed. I tried to. I am still trying." Clara looked at him for a long moment. Then, for the first time in 2 weeks, something shifted in her expression. "I do not hate you anymore," she said quietly. "I wanted you to know." Caleb's eyes stung. "That means more than you know. I do not trust you completely. Not yet. That is fair. But I think maybe I could. Someday. If you keep being this. I intend to." Clara nodded, turned back to watch the family. And for the first time since Silver Creek, she looked like she might survive this. A week later, a letter arrived. The territorial marshal had completed his investigation. With Blackwood dead and Pike in custody awaiting trial at the territorial prison, there was no one left to press Blackwood's fraudulent custody claim. More importantly, Thomas's letter had triggered a massive investigation into Blackwood's network. Corruption charges, land fraud, bribery of judges, and most importantly, evidence that Blackwood murdered his own brother. Margaret Sullivan was officially cleared of all charges. The custody order was voided. Her children were legally, permanently, unequivocally hers. She read the letter 3 times. Then she sat down at the kitchen table and wept. 4 months later. Spring. The Colorado hills were green with new growth. The ranch had transformed. Fresh paint on the house. Maggie's choice. A cheerful blue that made Caleb smile every time he saw it. A new chicken coop built by Sam. Lopsided but functional. A garden taking root beside the porch, tended by Rosie with fierce dedication. And beneath the cottonwood tree, beside 2 old graves, a simple bench where a man could sit and remember. They married on a warm April morning. Just family. Martha, the territorial marshal who turned out to be a kind man with a soft spot for happy endings. Maggie wore a dress she had made herself. White cotton, simple and beautiful. Wild flowers in her hair picked by Rosie. A bouquet arranged by Clara, who had discovered an unexpected talent for making things beautiful. Caleb wore his cleanest shirt, his best boots, and a nervous expression he could not hide if his life depended on it. The children stood as witnesses. Sam, trying to look bored and failing spectacularly. Rosie, bouncing on her toes, barely containing herself. Benny, holding tight to Ghost's mane. The old mare had wandered over to observe. And Clara. Clara stood closest to her mother, ready to catch her if she fell. Ready to fight anyone who tried to stop this. I do not have fancy words, Caleb said, his voice rough with emotion. Never have. But I can promise you this. I will protect this family with my last breath. I will never raise my hand in anger against any of you. I will work every day to be worthy of the trust you have placed in me. He paused. His eyes found Clara's. And I will never replace your father. I do not want to. What I want is to be something new, something better, for all of you. Maggie took his hands. I married the wrong man once, she said. I married for safety and security, and all the wrong reasons. And I paid for it every day for 8 years. This time is different. This time I am marrying for love. Real love. The kind that does not demand or possess or control. The kind that shows up at train stations and fights for strangers and puts itself in harm's way without asking anything in return. I promise to stand beside you in darkness and in light. To trust you with my children. To let you love them the way they deserve to be loved. And I promise. Her voice broke. I promise to finally let myself be happy. The vows were exchanged. The ring, a simple band that had belonged to Caleb's mother, the only good thing he had from his past, slid onto Maggie's finger. You may kiss your bride. Caleb cupped her face in his hands, gentle as always, and kissed her softly. The children cheered. Rosie threw flower petals. Sam made gagging noises that fooled no one. And Clara stepped forward. Pa. Caleb turned, eyes wide. Do not get used to it, Clara said. But there was a hint of a smile at the corners of her mouth. I am just trying it out. He pulled her into a hug. She let him. Welcome to the family, Clara, he whispered. For real this time. There was cake, music from an old fiddle Martha produced from somewhere, dancing that became increasingly ridiculous as the day went on. Sam was coaxed into a waltz with Rosie standing on his feet. Benny danced with Ghost, or at least swayed beside her while she munched on carrots. Clara sat on the fence watching, still healing, still finding her way back, but present, participating. And Maggie and Caleb danced beneath the cottonwood tree, surrounded by their children, their past, their future. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not walking away. That first day, at the station, I almost did, but you did not. Number. He pulled her closer. Best decision I ever made. That night, after the children were asleep, after the laughter had faded, Caleb walked to the cottonwood tree. He sat on the bench facing Sarah's grave. For a long time, he did not speak. Then, Hey, Sarah, I know it has been a while. The wind stirred the leaves above him. I got married today. I know you probably know that already. I hope wherever you are, you understand. He took a breath. I never stopped loving you. Never will. But I cannot keep living in the past. You told me that, did you not? That last night when we were still fighting, you said, Caleb Mercer, you spend so much time punishing yourself you do not have any left over for living. You were right. You were always right. A tear slid down his cheek. I think I am finally learning how to live again. Maggie and the children have given me something I thought I would never have again. A family. A purpose. A reason to wake up in the morning. I will never forget you. Never stop talking to you. But I am going to try to stop hating myself. I am going to try to be the man you always believed I could be. He paused. I hope you can forgive me. For Elijah, for the Cranes, for everything. I am trying to earn it, every day. The wind picked up. A single leaf broke free from the cottonwood tree and drifted down, landing on his outstretched hand. He looked at it for a long moment. Then he smiled. Thank you, Sarah, for everything. He walked back toward the house. Through the window, he could see the family gathered in the warm light. Maggie setting out a late-night snack, Sam and Clara arguing about something, probably trivial. Rosie showing Benny a picture she had drawn. Normal things, beautiful things. The kind of things he thought he would never have again. At the door, he paused. Benny appeared at the window, spotted him, waved, Pa. The boy called. The word still new and precious on his tongue. Mama says, come eat. Pa. After everything, the violence, the loss, the years of wandering in darkness. This was where he ended up. Called to supper by a boy who once could not speak. Part of a family that once had no home, loved by a woman who once trusted no one. Caleb Mercer opened the door and stepped inside. Into warmth, into light, into home. 7 years ago, Caleb Mercer stood at a crossroads and chose wrong. 2 months ago, he stood at a train station and chose different. Today, he stands at the threshold of a house filled with laughter and love, and he finally understands. Redemption is not something you earn all at once. It is something you earn every day. One choice at a time, one act of kindness at a time, one moment of courage at a time. And sometimes, if you are very, very lucky, you find people who are willing to walk that road beside you. People who become family. People who become home. Thank you for staying with Maggie and Caleb until the very end. If their story touched your heart, leave a comment below. And remember, no matter how dark your road may seem, there is always a chance to choose different. There is always a chance to find your way home. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories with valuable life lessons. Every narrative is crafted to entertain, inspire, and empower our audience. We believe that great stories can change lives, and we are committed to bringing you content that matters. Thank you for being part of our community.